Hi everyone, I'm Liz Peterson and welcome back to another one of my Pipedrive training videos. Today I'm going to break down how to understand your workflow automation dashboard in Pipedrive. Now, if you haven't yet set up any automations in Pipedrive, you'll need to start there. Below, I've linked a video where I show you how to create the single most important automation in Pipedrive. So if you haven't yet created any automations, head on over to that video first and then come back here. But for the rest of you, in today's video, I'm going to cover what each automation status means, how you can review your automation runs to verify that they're running properly, and I'll cover a few common issues you may be butting up against in your setup. As always, if you find this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you want to be notified when I drop more content like this, click subscribe. And if you have any questions, leave a comment. And with that, let's dive in. To access your automation dashboard, you'll click the three dots and then go to Automations. This overview page can be a really nice snapshot of what is going on, where you can, for example, see failed automations and make any adjustments that are needed. But it is just a visual representation of what you can see under History in a list view here. So I'm going to operate out of this page here. Now, as with everything in Pipedrive, if there is something that is blue, that typically means there is some sort of filter applied. So I'm currently looking at automations that have been triggered by myself, but I may want to see automations that have been triggered by anyone, so I can click the X to remove that. I'm also looking at a specific time period. I can adjust that time period here or select some of the preset time periods. And then over on the right-hand side, you have all of the automation statuses. So done. That's going to show you all automations that have run fully from beginning to end in completion, and they worked successfully as they were programmed. Failed, that means an automation did not run. Something about it was missing or configured suboptimally, and there may be something you need to do to correct that automation to run. Pending, this is not an issue, but a lot of people mistakenly think it is. Pending means that an automation has started, but not yet completed. So that means you have a delay step, and it's somewhere in that delay process currently. If a pending automation runs completely from beginning to end through all of the steps, ultimately it'll end up in your done list. But if it is stopped at any point before reaching the last step in your automation, then it's going to show up in your stopped list. Stopped are also not an issue inherently. Now, you may have a filter condition that is not right and automations are getting stopped prematurely, but an automation that goes from pending to stopped just means, hey, you applied a filter condition. When the automation hit that step, the deal or person no longer matched that condition that you set. And so the automation stopped before it reached the last step. Here's a really common example of when something like that might happen. I have this automation here. And it says when a deal is added, delay for 3 days, then if the deal is in the scheduling appointment stage, send a follow-up email. But if the deal is in any other stage, don't send that email because the content of the email then would no longer apply. So right now I have this deal pending in that automation. So if in 3 days, when we get to the 19th over here, if the deal's still in the scheduling appointment stage as it is right now, then that email will automatically send. But if the deal is in any other stage, that automation will stop and then the log will move into stopped. But again, that's not a problem. That's actually how we design that automation to work. But failed automations, those are a problem. So I'm going to check out what this automation is. I can open up the deal which triggered the automation by clicking this link. And then I can look at the contents of the automation here by clicking on the name of the automation. When an automation fails, Pipedrive is going to give you some amount of help to say this is why it failed. So in this case, it says it failed because the to field was empty. So I was sending an email and the to field, which is this field here, was empty. And it says I can edit this step. So if I go to edit this step, and I look at how this is set up here, I see I'm sending to the deal contact person and so on and so forth. Now, if I go to the deal where this automation failed, I'm going to go down to the deal contact person to see what's going on here. So I see this contact person does not have an email. So actually, the automation is configured right, but this person was added without an email address. And so we couldn't send that email. As a reminder, if you want individual support with any of your automations, I'd love to help. You can book a one-on-one working session with me using the link below. There's two different ways to fix this. One way would be that we always require an email address is added to a person when a person is added to Pipedrive. That would prevent the automation from failing because there would never be a deal connected to a person without an email address. The way we would do that is coming here and going to company settings, then going to data fields, our person data fields, and then where the email field is, we would edit that and we would make it required. So now no person could be added to Pipedrive without an email, and therefore no deal could ever be connected to a person without an email. Option 2 is to just adjust the automation itself. So back in the automation window, I'm going to close this here. And here I have two options. I can simply do an instant condition, which is basically a filter, and I say if the person email, it's going to be the option all the way, so is not empty, then I want the automation to continue. So I would apply that condition. This would prevent the automation from failing because when the automation tried to run on this deal, it would get to the filter condition step and say, hey, actually that email address field is blank. So I'm going to stop here and I'm not going to send the email template. But I actually want to do this as a either or condition. So instead of this instant condition, I'm going to use this if else condition. And here I'm going to say if this condition is met, the deal contact person email is not empty. If that condition is met, then go ahead and send the email. If the condition is not met, then we're going to do something else. So I can go ahead and delete this step. That's the one I created in the first example. So if the email does not exist, then I'm going to create a note. And in this note, I'm going to say, this email couldn't be sent because the person email was empty. So I'm saying you need to go ahead and add that field to Pipedrive and then manually send that email template. I'm going to connect this to the deal, and I could connect it to other fields as well, but I'm just going to apply this action, and then I'm going to click save and save my changes. So now, if I duplicate this deal here, still connected to the same person, so still connected to a person that does not have an email, now instead of just not having anything happen and having to check my automation histories to see that there was a failure, I actually get this note if the conditions were not met. Now, checking your automation history here is definitely one way to ensure everything is running properly. But there may be cases where there's an email that's sent or a field or a stage that's updated, and whoever lands on that deal goes, wait a minute, I don't think this was supposed to happen. So I'm going to pull up an example like that. So in this deal here, this deal was created in this stage, quote appointment scheduled, and I see that this email trying to schedule a quote appointment was automatically sent out, or at least it wasn't sent out by me, so I think it was sent out via automation. You can search using the deal title in your automation history view. So here, I'm going to click search, and I'm going to search for 831 Magnolia Avenue. And I want to look at all. Right now I'm looking at failed. So here I can see there are 3 automations that have run, and I'm just skimming the names of these, and I see deal added, send schedule appointment email, excuse me. So I'm going to click on that automation to see the details. So I see deal is added is my trigger, and I can go to my deal if I want to. Then it's sending an email using this email template. Where this email ran successfully, the problem with this automation is that I don't actually want this email to send every single time a deal is added to Pipedrive. I only want this email to send if the deal is added in that first stage of my pipeline. So the issue is actually in my setup here. So I'm going to edit this automation. And I've already got the update here of having the person email completed. But before that, I'm going to say actually only continue, and I only care if that person email exists if the deal is in the first stage. So I'm going to do an instant condition that the deal stage is scheduling appointment. I'm going to apply that condition, and then I'm going to click save. And I'm going to save my changes. So now my automation works like this. When a deal is added, and the deal is in the scheduling appointment stage, if contact person email exists, then send this email. If it doesn't exist, then add a note onto the deal, letting the deal owner know to manually send that email once they get the email address for the contact. So now, for sake of demo here, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this deal as well, duplicating in this same stage. And what I want to see happen is that email does not automatically get sent. It'll be hard to tell on the deal itself because we won't see that an automation run was stopped. But back in our automation dashboard, if we go to history and we look at all, we can see that there were automations that ran that created an activity that started this automation that will send an email in 3 days based on certain conditions, and that the deal title was updated, but the automation that sends that schedule appointment email did not send. So that's great. We've made the update that we need to make so that this automation will now only run on deals that are created in the first stage of our pipeline where the person connected to that deal has an email included. There are lots of incredible things you can do with Pipedrive's workflow automation. But as you saw in this video, it's super important to have the right instant and if-else condition steps included in your automations to ensure you're only triggering actions exactly where needed. As a reminder, if you want individual support with any of your automations, I'd love to help. You can book a one-on-one working session with me using the link below. Finally, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to be notified when new content drops. And if you want a video on a specific topic, let me know in a comment. Thanks so much for watching today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.